Hello, did you know that you could add maps to your family history research and bring a new perspective to your research? Maps are useful tools. They help you place your ancestors in context with their surroundings, help you to understand what was happening during their lives, help you to locate other family members, visualize immigration patterns, and tell their stories. Current maps can help provide insight on geographic features that may have been important to their lives. Historic maps can help determine boundaries and where a set of records may be found. And you can even use plat maps to help you understand how property is transferred between individuals. Many times place names change over time, and FamilySearch provides a historic place name finder that gives you information such as the basic information about the town, historic information, research links, alternate names for that location, citations, as well as mapping so you can see where that town is located. One of my favorite mapping sites is the Myers Gazetteer, and I use this for researching my German ancestors. This site provides maps for locations from the 1870s and can help you locate the church records where your ancestors may have been located. Another great site for historic maps is the David Rumsey map collection. Many of these maps have been fitted to Google Earth, allowing you to see the historic map overlaying the existing current imagery. So here's an example utilizing the David Rumsey maps. It's a map of New York City from 1852, and you can see that it's overlaying the existing satellite imagery for Google Earth. And you can transition between the historic map and the satellite imagery to see how things might have changed over time. Historic MapWorks provides an extensive collection of over 1.6 million historic maps from around the world. Their US collection is very diverse, and you can search the collection. They have high quality images, and you can purchase print or digital copies of their maps. You can also use land grants to map your families. In the United States, land grants can provide important information about the original lands a person may have settled. These records can be found at the Bureau of Land Management and provide information that can help you locate the parcels on maps. So you can see the document here, and from that document, I was able to extract information about the original land ownership that James A. Walker had. You can see that the land was located in the west half of the northeast quarter of the east half of the northwest quarter of Section 12, Township 18 South, Range 24 East of the Tallahassee Meridian, and it consisted of 160 acres located in Lake County, Florida, and he bought the land on 22 November 1888. So I'm able to take that information and then bring it into a historic map that was developed through those land parcels and show where his land was located. I can also take that information and bring it into a current map. And this map is a USGS topographic map, and I was able to download that from the USGS's website and then overlay James's land grant information on top of that. So now you can see where his land was in relation to existing features. Another type of map that I like to use are plat maps. And the plat maps show boundaries. In this case here, I'm showing 1880, 1898, and 1917. So we show how lands changed ownership over time. You can see that the 1880 map, I've got highlighted an area of 110 acres owned by G. Severin's heirs. In 1898, that same parcel of land is owned by Catherine Severin. And in 1917, it's owned by Henry Westerheide. So why did that property change hands during those years? Well, in 1880, you see it's G. Severin heirs. This is George Severin. And so therefore, George Severin is deceased and his heirs own that property. In 1898, Catherine Severin owns that property. Catherine is George's wife. And in 1917, it's Henry Westerheide. So how does Henry Westerheide relate to the Severin family? Well, by doing other research, realized that Henry Westerheide was Catherine Severin's second husband. And so when he married her after she was a widow, he then took possession of that land. In addition to the property ownership, you see other great information, especially locations of schools, churches, cemeteries, and other major features. Another way to look at your information is through Google Street View. And Google Street View allows you to see what is on a location today. So I've got a map, I've got a Google Street View map, and I've got a historic photograph. Both are for the exact same location, 42 West 21st Street in Jacksonville, Florida. And you see the first one from 1930, and then the current one from 2016. And you can see the same house is still there. Some things have changed on the house, but basically it's the same house. What was there allows you to overlay your Street View pictures over the Google Street View so you can compare the images. So in this case here, I've added the Street View image that I have in my photograph over top of the existing Street View image in Google Earth. And I can leave that image there so other people can go into Google Earth or into what was there and see the street views, historic street views of those areas. On what was there, you can zoom into an area of the map and see all of the pictures that have been loaded for that area. In this example, we're showing Jacksonville, Florida, and it shows there's 134 pictures that have been pinned to this map. Looking at individual map pictures, you can zoom into the map and see how those align with the street views of today. historyofpin.org is similar to what was there. You can upload your photos, create catalogs of photos, add stories, and attach them to a place. This is a great way to provide geographical context to your family history research. Topotech is similar to what was there in HistoryPin, but its focus is on Central Europe. You can zoom in on the map and see what photos are available for the area you are researching. And when you select the photo, you see the description as well as the street view taken from that photo. Topotech centers around Central European countries, so you will only find a limited number of countries in this collection. So what I want to talk to you today about is how to create your own maps in Google so that you can visualize your ancestors and the communities they lived in and what was going on at that time. So we're going to use a couple sets of tools. The demonstration will start out with Google Sheets. It's a basic spreadsheet program that Google houses. You can use Excel if you want, Google Maps, and Google Earth. So first, you'll need to find record sets with geographic information. And this can be addresses, towns, counties, states, or any other place that you can use to map a location. In this case here, I'm mapping the town of Minster, Ohio, based on the 1940 census. And you can see in the first column, I've got the street address for each of the individual entries in that 1940 census. I've got the head of household listed. I've got the page number from the census, the line number from the census. I've also got a link from FamilySearch that goes directly to the indexed information and the image for that census, as well as the FamilySearch PID link that goes to the person's profile page in FamilySearch. So I created all of that in a Google Sheet. And then I'm going to Google Maps. And in Google Maps, you want to click on the hamburger menu. There's 3 horizontal lines in the upper left-hand corner. And when you click on that menu, you pull down the list of functions that are available. And in this case here, I'm going to the function for your places. This is where you get to see the maps that you've created or create new maps. And as you can see, when I click on maps, I have a list of different maps that I've created. And some of these are membership maps and city directory maps, and other things that I've created based on information that I've pulled together. At the bottom, you'll see it says Create Map, and that's where we're going to go today. We're going to go to Create Map and develop our own map of the 1940 census. So now I've gone in, and you can see I can import my data in order to create a Google map. So I'm going to import the data that I used in the Google Sheets. Don't forget to title your layer and put a title for your map, or else you'll end up with a whole series of untitled maps with untitled layers and you won't know what you've got in there. So now I've imported my Google Sheets data into Google Maps, And I can zoom into the area where my maps are located, where my locations are set in the map. And as you zoom in, you can see each of the houses. And the pins on each of the houses indicate that something from the census was added to that location. And I can click on one of the houses and I get some information that pops up here. So on this house, Henry Hinker was the owner, the head of household at the time in 1940, and it's for 130 South Main Street in Minster, Ohio. And you can see I've got the link to the indexed information on FamilySearch, so I can pull up the image and the index information for that census record, as well as the FamilySearch PID, so I can pull up the person's profile page. Now that's just showing what's going on in a small town, but I can look at a larger area and show you where a family might have migrated through, or even more information, internationally if I want to. So I'm going to pull up a map here showing where one of my wife's ancestors migrated from Ohio into Oregon and Washington State in the 1880s. So he was born in 1829 in Montgomery County, Ohio. So I placed that information in as one of my data points. And then I can put all sorts of other information. You see some of this information is down to the county level or the city or the town level. Some of it's even latitude and longitude, while others are more basic and just have the state name. I've used a variety of different types of records here. I've used marriage records, post office records, city directories, census records, and any other records that I could find that indicate where he may have been living at a given point in time. And then I put all of that information into the spreadsheet. I can then include links to some of this data, so I can click on those links and pull up the data and show you more detail about what that data set said. Or I can collect the images and actually link to those images so you can see the images also. So you can see here, I can follow his path across the United States over time. FamilySearch has a similar mapping function. You can use a timeline to create a map showing locations where your family lived. Each time and location that you add to your record on FamilySearch can be added to this maps. Now, Google Earth is another way that you can map your information. You can go to Google Earth and download Google Earth Pro. It's a free downloadable program, and it'll help you make more detailed maps. When you go into this program, you want to go to File, and then select Import to create your own map. And I'm going to import a CSV file. And now any spreadsheet, Excel, Google Sheets, or any other spreadsheet program can export a CSV file. These are just comma delineated files that a lot of other programs can read. And once I do that, I've imported the file. I've gone through a little process. I have to select which columns are the geographic information, which columns are label information, and so on. But once I've done that, I can then create the map. And you can see here, I've created a Minster 1940 US Census map, again, using that same data that I showed previously. And if I click on a location, I get a little table that pops up and shows me the information. And I can get directions, and I can add other bits of information to this table also. Another great thing that you can do with Google Earth Pro is that you can import your own maps and imagery into the layers. And so in this case here, I've imported a plat map that I had from the 1880s. And I took that same plat map that I was talking about previously, showing land ownership changes, and I've imported the image directly into Google Earth Pro. And you can see that on the corners, the top, the bottom, the left and right side, as well as the center, there are green lines. And I can grab those green lines with my cursor and move that map around to fit it to where I want it to go. So I can move the center point to a location on Google Earth that matches up with that center point. And then I can use the sides and the top and the bottom to squish it in, or the corners to pull it together to make it match up to the existing land structure that's there. In this case here, I'm looking at roads. And so I'm lining up roads with the map and Google Pro satellite imagery. And once I've got it set, then I can see where those land ownerships were compared to where they are today. Now, once I've got that map all lined up, I can add more information. So in this case here, I've added pins to those property ownerships, and I connected those to census records. So in this case, I've added a pin to the J. Stevie property. This is Joseph Stevie. He's one of my ancestors. And I went to FamilySearch and I opened up the 1860 census and I grabbed all of the data from the indexed record from the 1860 census for him and added that to that data point, to that pin on his property. And then I uploaded an image of his family, a photograph that I have in my collection. So now when I go to that map, I can click on his data point, the pin on his property, and I can see the record from the 1860 census along with a photograph of his family. So I hope this has given you some ideas on how you can use maps to aid in your research. I'll be available in the chat area as well as the email during the conference, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thank you very much.